They laughed when you told them your dream. They said you were being unrealistic. They said you should be more practical, more sensible, more like everyone else. They told you to get your head out of the clouds and plant your feet on the ground. But what if they're wrong? What if the very dream they're telling you to abandon is the one that's going to change your entire life? Every single person who has ever achieved something extraordinary has heard those same words. Every innovator, every entrepreneur, every artist, every athlete who has ever broken through to greatness has faced that same doubt from the people around them. The difference between those who make it and those who don't isn't talent, it's not luck. It's the willingness to ask one simple question: what if it works out? Right now you're probably thinking about that thing. You know what I'm talking about. That goal you've been putting off, that dream you've been too scared to chase, that vision of your life that makes your heart race and your palms sweat at the same time. You've been carrying it around like a secret, afraid to speak it out loud, because speaking it makes it real, and making it real means you might have to actually do something about it. But what if this is the moment everything changes? What if today is the day you stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what if it works out better than I ever imagined? Look around you. Every successful business started as someone's crazy idea. Every breakthrough invention began as someone's impossible dream. Every life-changing relationship started with someone taking a risk on love. Every great achievement in human history started with someone who was willing to bet on a possibility that everyone else thought was impossible. What if it works out? What if that business idea you've been sketching on napkins becomes the company that changes an entire industry? What if that book you've been meaning to write becomes the bestseller that touches millions of lives? What if that conversation you've been too nervous to have opens the door to the relationship of your dreams? What if that skill you've been afraid to develop becomes your ticket to the life you've always wanted? The graveyard is the richest place on earth. It's full of people who died with their dreams still inside them. People who had brilliant ideas but were too afraid to act on them. People who had incredible talents, but never found the courage to share them. People who had the potential to change the world, but chose comfort over courage. Don't let that be you. What if it works out because you're exactly what the world needs right now? What if your unique combination of experiences, skills, and perspective is the missing piece to a puzzle someone out there is trying to solve? What if the very thing that makes you different is the very thing that makes you valuable? You've been waiting for permission. You've been waiting for the right time. You've been waiting for more money, more experience, more confidence, more certainty. But what if waiting is the only thing standing between you and everything you want? What if the permission you need can only come from you? What if the right time is now? Every day you don't start is a day you're not getting closer to your goal. Every day you hesitate is a day someone else is taking action on the same dream you're sitting on. Every day you choose safety over possibility is a day you're choosing to stay exactly where you are. And where you are right now is the result of every choice you've made up to this point. If you want different results, you have to make different choices. What if it works out because you're willing to work when nobody's watching? What if it works out because you understand that success isn't about the big moments, but about the small decisions you make every single day? What if it works out because while everyone else is waiting for motivation, you're building discipline? The most successful people aren't the most talented people. They're not the smartest people. They're not the luckiest people. They're the people who showed up consistently, day after day, especially when they didn't feel like it. They're the people who worked on their dreams during the hours when everyone else was watching television, scrolling through social media, or making excuses. What if it works out because you finally stop making excuses? What if it works out because you take complete ownership of your life and your results? What if it works out because you realize that every excuse you make is really just a decision to stay where you are? You say you don't have time, but you have time to watch hours of videos every day. You say you don't have money, but you spend money on things that don't move you closer to your goals. You say you don't know how, but you have access to more information than any human being in history has ever had. The resources exist, the knowledge exists, the opportunities exist. What's missing is your decision to stop making excuses and start making progress. What if it works out because you're willing to bet on yourself when nobody else will? What if it works out because you understand that the person who believes in you the most has to be you? What if it works out because you stop waiting for someone else to give you a chance and start creating your own chances? Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is going to hand you the life you want. Nobody owes you success. But here's the beautiful truth. You don't need anyone else to make it happen. You have everything you need right now to start moving toward the life you want. You might not have everything you need to finish, but you have everything you need to start. What if it works out because you embrace failure as education? What if it works out because every time you fall down, you get back up stronger, smarter, and more determined than before? What if it works out because you understand that the only real failure is not trying at all? Every successful person has a trail of failures behind them. Every breakthrough is built on a foundation of breakdowns. Every victory is earned through a series of defeats that taught valuable lessons. The people who never fail are the people who never try. The people who never face rejection are the people who never put themselves out there. The people who never experience disappointment are the people who never dare to dream big enough. Failure is not your enemy. Failure is your teacher. Failure is your coach. Failure is the price you pay for the education that success requires. Every time you fail, you're eliminating one way that doesn't work and getting closer to the way that does. Every time you fail, you're building the resilience, the character, and the wisdom that will carry you to victory. What if it works out because you develop an unstoppable mindset? What if it works out because you train your mind to see possibilities instead of problems? What if it works out because you become someone who finds solutions instead of focusing on obstacles? What if it works out because you refuse to let temporary setbacks become permanent surrenders? Your mind is the most powerful tool you have, but most people use it against themselves. They focus on what could go wrong instead of what could go right. They rehearse their fears instead of their dreams. They practice failure in their imagination instead of practicing success. But what if you flipped that script? What if you spent as much time imagining success as you currently spend imagining failure? The stories you tell yourself become your reality. The thoughts you think most often become your beliefs. The beliefs you hold most strongly determine your actions, and your actions determine your results. If you want different results, it starts with different thoughts. What if it works out because you surround yourself with people who believe in possibilities? What if it works out because you stop listening to people who have never done what you're trying to do? What if it works out because you find mentors, coaches, and friends who challenge you to think bigger instead of smaller? Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. The people you spend time with are either lifting you up or pulling you down. They're either encouraging your dreams or discouraging them. They're either supporting your growth or enabling your excuses. If you want to change your life, you might need to change your circle. You become who you spend time with. You adopt the habits of the people around you. You start thinking like the people you listen to. You begin to believe what the people in your environment believe. Choose your environment carefully. Choose your influences wisely. Choose relationships that challenge you to grow instead of relationships that allow you to stay comfortable. What if it works out because you understand that success is a process, not an event? What if it works out because you fall in love with the journey instead of just obsessing about the destination? What if it works out because you realize that who you become along the way is more important than what you achieve at the end? Success isn't something that happens to you. It's something that happens through you. Every day you work on your dream. You're becoming the person capable of achieving that dream. Every challenge you overcome makes you stronger. Every skill you develop makes you more valuable. Every small victory builds your confidence for the bigger victories ahead. The process is where the magic happens. The process is where you develop character. The process is where you build the strength, the knowledge, and the resilience you'll need to handle success when it arrives. Don't rush through the process. Don't try to skip steps. Embrace the process. Trust the process. Love the process. What if it works out because you're willing to start before you're ready? What if it works out because you understand that you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great? What if it works out because you take imperfect action instead of waiting for perfect conditions? Perfectionism is just procrastination wearing a disguise. It's fear dressed up as high standards. It's the voice in your head that says you need to know everything before you can do anything. But the truth is, you learn by doing. You get better by starting. You become ready by beginning. Perfect conditions don't exist. Perfect timing is a myth. Perfect preparation is impossible. If you wait for perfect, you'll wait forever. Start where you are. Use what you have, do what you can. Perfect is the enemy of good, and good is the enemy of done. Done is better than perfect every single time. What if it works out because you develop the habits of successful people? What if it works out because you wake up earlier, work harder, and stay focused longer than your competition? What if it works out because you treat your body like the high-performance machine it is? What if it works out because you invest in your mind the way successful people invest in their minds? Small habits create big results. The person who reads for 30 minutes every day will read dozens of books per year. The person who exercises for 30 minutes every day will be in incredible shape. The person who works on their dream for 1 hour every day will make more progress than someone who works on it for 8 hours once a week. Success isn't about giant leaps. It's about small steps taken consistently over time. It's about showing up every day and doing the work whether you feel like it or not. It's about making progress even when progress feels impossible. It's about understanding that everything compounds. Your efforts compound. Your knowledge compounds. Your relationships compound. Your results compound. What if it works out because you learn to delay gratification? What if it works out because you're willing to sacrifice what you want now for what you want most? What if it works out because you understand that everything worth having requires giving up something else. The marshmallow test taught us that children who could wait for 2 marshmallows instead of eating one immediately ended up more successful in every area of life. The same principle applies to adults. The people who can say no to immediate pleasure in order to say yes to long-term gain are the people who end up with the lives they actually want. Every choice has a price. When you choose to watch television, you're choosing not to work on your goals. When you choose to sleep in, you're choosing not to get ahead of your competition. When you choose comfort, you're choosing not to grow. When you choose to stay the same, you're choosing not to become who you could be. What if it works out because you never give up? What if it works out because you're willing to outlast everyone else? What if it works out because when everyone else quits, you keep going? What if it works out because persistence is your secret weapon? Most people give up right before they would have succeeded. They give up when things get difficult. They give up when progress seems slow. They give up when the initial excitement wears off. But what if your breakthrough is waiting just beyond your current level of discomfort? What if success is just one more try away? Quitting becomes a habit. Every time you quit something, it becomes easier to quit the next thing. But persistence also becomes a habit. Every time you push through when you want to quit, you build a muscle of persistence. You prove to yourself that you can handle more than you thought you could. You develop the confidence that comes from knowing you don't give up. Champions aren't made when they feel like it. Champions are made when they don't feel like it, but show up anyway. Champions are made in the moments when giving up seems logical, but they choose to continue instead. Champions are made by understanding that the difference between winning and losing is often just refusing to quit. What if it works out because you decide to go all in? What if it works out because you stop hedging your bets and commit completely? What if it works out because you make success your only option? What if it works out because you're finally ready to discover what you're truly capable of? Half-hearted efforts produce half-hearted results. If you want extraordinary outcomes, you need to make extraordinary commitments. You need to burn the boats. You need to cut off your retreat. You need to make failure so uncomfortable that success becomes your only choice. When you go all in, something magical happens. Resources you didn't know existed start appearing. Opportunities you couldn't have imagined start presenting themselves. People who can help you start showing up in your life. Energy you didn't know you had starts flowing through you. But first, you have to commit, you have to decide, you have to choose. What if it works out because this is your time? What if everything you've experienced has been preparing you for this moment? What if all the skills you've developed, all the lessons you've learned, all the strength you've built is exactly what you need for what's coming next? Nothing in your life has been wasted. Every experience has taught you something. Every challenge has made you stronger. Every setback has prepared you for a comeback. Every closed door has redirected you toward the right door. Every no has prepared you for the biggest yes of your life. You are not an accident. Your dreams are not random. The desires in your heart are there for a reason. There's something you're meant to contribute to this world. There's a difference you're meant to make. There's a legacy you're meant to leave. But first, you have to believe it's possible. What if it works out because you finally understand that you are enough? What if it works out because you stop waiting to feel worthy and start acting worthy? What if it works out because you realize that the person you're waiting to become already exists inside you, just waiting to be unleashed? You don't need more time. You need more focus. You don't need more money. You need more creativity. You don't need more opportunities. You need more preparation for the opportunities that already exist. You don't need more talent. You need more persistence. You don't need more luck. You need more action. You have everything you need to get started. You might not have everything you need to finish, but you have everything you need to begin. The resources will come, the knowledge will come, the people will come, the opportunities will come. But first you have to start. You have to take the first step. You have to make the first move. What if it works out? What if your dreams are not too big but too small? What if your potential is not limited but limitless? What if the best version of yourself is not a fantasy, but a future reality waiting to be claimed? Stop asking what if it doesn't work out. Start asking what if it does. Stop preparing for failure. Start preparing for success. Stop living like your dreams are impossible. Start living like they're inevitable. Stop wondering what would happen if you tried. Start finding out. The life you want is not going to create itself. The dreams you have are not going to pursue themselves. The goals you've set are not going to achieve themselves. It all depends on you. It all starts with you. It all begins with your decision to stop wondering and start doing. What if it works out? There's only one way to find out. The time for thinking is over. The time for planning is over. The time for preparing is over. The time for action is now. Your future self is counting on the decision you make right now. Don't let them down. What if it works out better than you ever imagined? What if this is the beginning of everything you've ever wanted? What if today is the day your whole life changes? What if now is your moment? Your dreams are calling your name. Your destiny is knocking on your door. Your future is waiting for you to claim it. The only question left is, are you ready to find out what happens when you finally bet on yourself? What if it works out? Make it work out. The time is now. The person is you. The moment is here. Stop asking what if. Start making it happen.